Hello folks, welcome back to another review and thoughts on. I just got done watching Spider-Man 2, which is a 2004 movie, but is well regarded as like one of the best superhero movies of all time, and best sequels, or whatever category you want to put it in. Directed by, again, Sam Rami, and the story was by 3 people, and then the screenplay was actually by Alvin Sargent, and pretty much it takes place 2 years after the first film. Peter struggling with trying to manage his personal life with his duties as Spider-Man, which then affects his civilian life dramatically. And we get introduced to Doc Ock, who is the villain of this movie. I watched, surprisingly, I know there's an extended cut of the second movie. I never got around to watching it, but somehow I found it online, so I watched it. And okay, my thoughts on the movie overall. You know, I grew up with all 3 Spider-Man movies, especially the first 2 on VHS and then DVD. Again, the first one I love. You can check out my review for the first one. The second one, while being older and, like, retrospect, being able to, like, see stuff more, I guess, more clearly, kinda, versus when I was younger. I mean, I understood what was going on, such as he's struggling to be Spider-Man, and yet he wants to be with Mary Jane, but he knows he can't, because then that would be dangerous for him, and enemies and stuff like that, and her getting hurt. You know, and then the whole Harry thing with, if you knew who he was, would you tell me? I liked elements of Harry kind of grilling Peter about this whole Spider-Man thing, because to him, he thinks Spider-Man killed his dad, and then he finds out, oh, Peter, you're him. But then in the third one, of course, that gets kind of swept under the rug for a while. The second one anyway. This movie, while I like elements of it, there's not really problems I have with it. But watching it again, I still enjoy it, but I wouldn't say it's the best of the trilogy. To me, I wouldn't say it's the best, in my opinion. It's not a bad movie, but again, the fight scenes are good. The story is interesting. I like the inner struggle with Peter trying to figure out who he wants to really be besides Spider-Man. Trying to figure out who he is as a person. And a lot of people make fun of the whole raindrops are falling on my head montage. I liked it growing up, and I still like it now. I don't know, I like the song. I like how it's montaging him being normal for a change. He's, at the beginning of the movie, he's missing class. He's late for work when he tries to deliver pizza, even though it seemed like he was just a few seconds off, but the lady still wouldn't pay, so then he loses his job, and he's late on rent, and his life, he's like the underdog. He seems like everything in his life is not really going well for him, so I felt for Peter, and even the fight scenes with him and Ock were cool. The train one, I don't know if maybe it was, since I watched the extended version, maybe that fight was longer. Because I don't remember certain aspects of that fight. It seems like it was drawn out more in the extended cut, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, overall, like, basically the movie with Doc Ock, he's trying to build this experiment. What is it? Trying to see a neurologically fused. Never mind. He's trying to build like a energy machine thing for like the whole world to use, and then that goes wrong, and then he introduces the octopus arms, then it gets the chip in his neck gets fried, so then pretty much the arms become alive by themselves, and then he's kind of drunk off of anger and power, kind of, because like his wife dies. I liked some of the extra dialogue that was added in this cut, such as between Harry and Peter at his party, where he actually he grills him a little bit. If you knew who he was, would you tell me? And then he's like, "Can we get off that subject?" But then there's extra dialogue that was cut from the theatrical movie, where he actually apologizes in that moment. He's like, "I'm sorry for bringing this up, Peter, and it's your birthday." And so then they make up, of course, and that was pretty cool. Because in the theatrical, he's like being a douche, bringing that up, and then having an attitude. But I liked some of the extra dialogue I liked in that scene anyway. The other stuff, I'm trying to remember what else that was extra in it. But anyway, pretty much finishing after Spider-Man 2. I mean, not Spider-Man 2. The first Spider-Man. Sony hired Alfred and Miles Millar to write a script with Doc Ock and the Lizard and Black Cat as the villains. Which is funny, because Black Cat is actually in the video game, but not in the movie. And then following pretty much the record-breaking first movie, they announced a sequel in 2004, or for 2004, entitled The Amazing Spider-Man. Okay. After the character's main comic book title, the film was given a budget of $200 million, and aimed for a release of May 7, 2004. The following month, David Coep was added to co-write, and so, but pretty much, his draft had, this other guy came in, Michael Chabon, was hired to rewrite the script, or draft. His draft seems a bit weird, because his was a younger Doc Ock who becomes infatuated with Mary Jane. His mechanical limbs are used in whatever, counteract the pain of being attached to his body, which he enjoys. When he injures two muggers on a date, this horrifies Mary Jane, and in the result, battle with Spider-Man and his tentacles are fused together, and the fusion begins to kill him. In the script, Octavius is the creator of the genetically altered spider from the first film. And that gives Peter an antidote to remove his powers. This means when Octavius is dying with his tentacles, he wants to extract Spider-Man's spine to save himself. So, and then that leads to an alliance with Harry, which is that the whole alliance with with Harry made it in the film, actually, because he wants Octavius to bring him Spider-Man, because he wants to kill him, basically. So they have a trade-off where he gives him whatever he needs, the tritium for the machine that he's trying to build. But then Rami pretty much shifted through the previous drafts and picked what he liked with the screenwriter Alvin Sargent. He felt that thematically the film had to explore Peter's conflict with his personal wants against his responsibility, exploring the positive and negative of his chosen path, and how he ultimately decides that he can be happy as a heroic figure. He took, I guess, partly influenced by Superman 2, which also explored that type of stuff. I didn't see Superman 2, but yeah, this one is, and then it's also based off comics. If This Be My Destiny, and then the story was mainly inspired by the 67 storyline, Spider-Man No More. Specifically, the Amazing Spider-Man issue 50. It was decided that Octavius would be kept as the villain, as he was both a visually interesting villain who was a physical match for Spider-Man and a sympathetic figure with humanity. Although he was considered a villain for the first film, of course, and then Rami changed his backstory and stuff. But yeah, overall, I don't mind the film. It's alright. Even the scenes with Aunt May I liked, with Peter. I know a lot of people still make fun of Peter crying. I'm sorry, I didn't see how many times he cried. I didn't count how many times he cried in this. I didn't think he cried really that much at all. Except when he needed to. I mean, the scene where he's telling Aunt May about Uncle Ben dying and how he feels responsible for it. And then the end when Mary Jane finds out, Peter's Spider-Man, and this whole thing where she's trying to be with him, but yet he doesn't want to, again, jeopardize her life, and so she's going to marry a spaceman. And then she runs out on that guy at the end for Peter would. Then she's like, "Go get him, Tiger." And then he swings out, and the movie ends. Even the end, the final fight between Ock and Spider-Man was alright. I sort of felt for Octavius, but I'm not like everybody else where like I really felt for him. I mean, to a degree I did, but not really, because even if he did try to redeem himself at the end, it's like, you killed those doctors, you almost killed his aunt, whatever. The effects were good. But yeah, overall, I think the film is fine. And just to talk about the video game for a minute, I never beat it. I only got to a certain part of the game. I can't even remember what that was. I do remember fighting, I believe, I know Black Cat was in it. I can't remember Shocker. I think he was in the first game. But trying to remember, what was his name? Dino or something. Oh no, Rhino. I believe Rhino and Scorpion was in the second game. I believe. Could be wrong. But yeah, I remember playing it. I didn't mind it. But yeah, and there is a thing a nitpick, kinda, I guess, I have with the film, where there's a few scenes where Peter actually does take his mask off out in public. Like when he's going to see Mary Jane's play, when he's on his way, and there's a crime going on, so he stops it, but then he takes the robber's car and takes his mask off while he's driving. I'm like, nobody's going to take pictures of the guy at, Spider-Man. He has his mask off and nobody takes his picture. And then there's another scene where, and Bruce Campbell makes a cameo, which is funny, where he's a douchebag usher. Refuses to open the door he won't even let him stand, like, in the background, like, not while the play is in progress. Whatever. If those professional stage plays are actually like that, then come on. That's obnoxious right there. But yeah, and then there's another scene where Harry wants Octavius to bring him Spider-Man, but he tells him to find Peter. He'll make him tell you where he is. But then there's a scene where Mary Jane meets up with Peter at the restaurant, where she wants him to confess his love for her, and he decides not to. But after that, in that same scene, there's a freaking car. It's a cool scene where his Spidey senses going off, and a car, I guess Octavius decides to launch a car in the restaurant window where Peter and Mary Jane are sitting right in front of it, a few feet away, and a car is coming at them. And even though Harry wants him a lot, like, I didn't understand the fact that he throws a car at Peter, even though he's the guy you're targeting to get you information where Spider-Man is, and that you attempt to murder him with a car, with launching a car into the restaurant. I didn't understand that when I was watching it. Now. But yeah, I didn't understand that. You're after Peter, but then you decide to try to... I didn't understand what he was even trying to do there. It's not like he knew that he was Spider-Man, because he told him to find Spider-Man. But then, like, how would he know that Peter was even at the restaurant? But I guess was he stalking him the whole time, I guess? But then he should have been, like, I don't know. But yeah, overall, the movie, I don't mind. I don't think it's that amazing like people hold it up to be. It's not bad, but I'll watch Spider-Man. I don't mind like all three of the movies. I really don't. There's stuff I don't like about Spider-Man 3, and I will get to that movie soon. But yeah. Leave comments down below of what your likes or dislikes about the original Sam Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man. Did you like it? Do you hate it? Yeah. Take care and peace and love.